The value creation aspect was from day one. If I don't do these kind of things, how will stock market behave? Power of asking right questions in the room in the most softer way, right, is the biggest challenge today. I've been exposed to some of the loan documents at that time which didn't even have the borrower's signature. And there were 100 plus crore loans.
Was that a natural migration from there to venture capital and investments?
From day one, finance was never the core.
Because the next 5 years, if you shut down, I'm at zero. Or even if you don't shut down and you make 50x, I'm at zero.
Working with so many brands.
Right.
So working with a brand and taking them to the next level came naturally to us. That's how WeNaturalists is built. So we work a lot. Some of these programs which has potential to change the way you live today. You can't reverse the change that we've already started to get into, right? Your temperature control to everything else, it's all in our mind. I'm extremely unhappy about the ability of these people to comprehend the change that it can bring to the lives because they have been taught to not think, unfortunately. I don't think we can save nature. Nature doesn't need your... Nature will figure out its own course. Whatever you're trying to do is for your own selfish reason to save yourself. Anyone who loves nature is a naturalist. And I realized that where do they really exist?
The Hustle Group Company. Let me introduce you to the Hustle Group Company. It's a lifestyle brand that's redefining streetwear through the power of fashion, self-belief, and resilience. The second one being Discover Dollar, which is an AI-driven tech company that helps brands and retailers recover hidden dollars from overpayments and leakages. DocsNow's intelligent platform empowers businesses of all sizes to rapidly collect, manage, govern, and collaborate on the data front, transforming your documents and making sure there's an impact on the business bottom line, all in a secure and a single environment. This episode is brought to you by Super Checkout, the world's first AI-powered checkout that lets you split, combine, or co-pay with friends and family in real time. Whether it's shopping, gifting, or travel bookings, now everyone can chip in with ease. Check out smarter with Super Checkout. Hey everyone, welcome to yet another episode of the Innovators and Disruptors podcast. And today for this conversation, I'm here in Mumbai, as you can see from the cutting chai. So welcome to all the consumers, all the audience members who are going to listen to this amazing conversation. By the way, today's conversation is going to focus on some very interesting facets of information, wisdom, gyan, whatever you want to call it. We're going to talk to a person who's an entrepreneur, who's an investor, who's a media executive. And he's going to give us a lot of insights from boardrooms to biodiversity, right? So it's very, very diverse conversation that we're going to have today. He's been a storyteller. He's been a finance executive. He has done so much different things across the genre of different areas. And so I'm super happy to have Amit Banka on the show with us today. Thank you so much, Amit, for taking our time.
Thank you so much, Abhay, for your cutting chai session. Really love it. And I'm hoping to get into a series of conversation with you today and see whatever best we can cull out of it.
No, I think we'll have a very short period of time to try and grab so much of information, so much of wisdom from you. So I'm going to try and at least some of my intrigue that I have, after going through my own research about you, I'm going to try and tap into that at least for the camera. Some of which I'm going to satiate later as well with my questions for you.
Let's try our level best.
All right, thank you so much, Amit. Amit, before we go a lot into the impact creation that you have done, right? I wanted to actually dive deeper into your early life, your upbringing, certain key pivotal moments, because I think most leaders who they are today, they're not born leaders, right? They evolve into leaders. Their experiences mold them into who they are. And that's exactly why I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, what your early life, what your upbringing was like. Where were you born? How did you grow up?
Thank you, Abhay. I think you mentioned a very important point that our today is defined by what we were and what our experience has been in our previous part of our lives. And I think for me, I think more likely than not, I give that entire credit to the way I was brought up, or probably the circumstances in which I was brought up, or the kind of life that I had seen at that point in time. And I started earning or probably fending for the family or probably working and taking life experiences a little earlier in my life, when I was 10 years, 11 years old. As unfortunately, I lost my father very early. And post that, suddenly life changes. You start seeing life very differently. You start seeing circumstances and environment very differently.
True.
And the people you interact with, right? How they behave, how your family internally and environment is being created around that. Considering the fact that I come from a very small town called Nagda, which is known largely for its Grasim industries that it has for I think 100 years now. And we, small town guy, born and brought up in a colony of Grasim, schooled exactly over there. School was just stone throw from our places, and then lived in a very natural environment where Chambal River was 500 meters away from our house. And every time, I mean, our natural way of learning swimming was actually in Chambal and not in the swimming pool.
Wow.
Right. So I think that's a very different environment altogether, which is very difficult in a pure city life. And being in Bombay, I can actually relate to that aspect very well now. But I think coming from a small town and in this kind of environment, trying to figure out what next every day, right? It's not the best situation at that point in time. But I think when I look back now, I think most of my things that I could do now was a massive grounding has happened at that point in time.
Makes a lot of sense.
So whether it is going into a consumer mindset, right, understanding how exactly at that point in time Synthol and was launched with Godrej, and then over a period of time how P&G and Godrej came together in India, and then they split, and this has all happened in front of my eyes. Right. Although I didn't understand too much at that point in time, I used to be in the market because our uncles had a family business and which used to have a lot of distribution on consumer side. And when I used to look back over there, it was very intriguing how exactly people even are buying products and taking a buying decision.
Right.
How aunties used to come to the place and then talk about certain things because there was a kirana store, and we used to be really proud of being part of that entire journey over there at that time. And when I used to understand what is going on in the consumer economy today, I have no qualms in saying that my uncle was so foresighted at that point in time. He implemented a lot of things at that point in time. And I'm talking about almost 40 years back now. Right. And home delivery was something that he actually initiated. Brilliant. Because he figured out the downtime of the servants over there at that time who were there at the shop floor. And he figured out that more and more people coming to the store, they ask more questions. So he said, I don't want these questions. And the moment phones came, he used to just take the orders on the phone and get it delivered.
Brilliant.
Right? No questions, no bargaining, nothing. Right? So a lot of these things, and today also you're paying convenience fee, your price is always a little higher when things are getting delivered to you.
True.
Right? But you don't realize because it's about convenience.
Yeah.
Right?
It is.
So all these things, they are all ingrained in the thought process. At that point in time, probably when everyone else is playing, you feel that, oh, is this the right utilization of your time? But when I look back, I think most of my grounding is coming from there.
That's
so
fantastic.
all the entire business mindset to understanding what exactly goes out in the market, what works, what doesn't work, what kind of questions come, how do you resolve them? How does the conflict resolution happen on a regular basis? How are you solution oriented? Rather than, you can't crib about it. When you are dealing with 5 customers at the same time, there's no time to crib. You have to then and there give a solution.
That's fantastic.
Right. So most of these things I've got ingrained in me and I have not realized it. When someone else tells me, I didn't ask you for solution, I want you to just listen to my rant. I said, oh yeah, fine. I've never done that. So now, because someone is talking to me about the problem and I'm giving you, don't worry, let's do this, 1, 2, 3. I said, wait, I'm not asking for solution. I said, but that is how my upbringing has been.
That
I don't have time, but let's find a solution right now. So, this something is very, very close to my heart now. And when I go back and reminisce, I think it came in a harder way. But actually, this is how I have been built.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, some very interesting pointers that you just shared, right? One is time value over money and money value over time, right? And we have seen the transition over the last 20, 30, 40 years gradually going from, being very cost conscious. And still, I think we believe that, majority of the people in the country are very cost conscious,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking about serving to the true India, then true Bharat. And then you're talking about cost-conscious impact on the consumer journey. And then there are people in the tier 1 cities who are so much more conscious about, convenience over time, right? They want to, pay a premium for everything possible as long as their time can be saved from not doing certain chores, right? In the daily activities.
Right.
But the pointer that you suggested was also very intriguing because my perception is now shaky because I perceive that this is a lot more in tier 1s, but you're talking about,
Tier 4.
tier 4 and about 40 years ago, 30, 40 years ago, right? So fundamentally, human nature is such that, we are looking for convenience in every way possible. We're still, probably cost conscious as a market, as a demography, but we're still looking for that extra value creation, extra convenience.
Always. And I also, and just to add to that thought process, I've seen a Bombay in every city. So
Very
there's
good.
a part of, and there is a village in every Bombay. Right? So there's always set of people who'll behave very differently in a particular locality.
Right.
And there are certain people who will be very, very Bharat. And there will be certain people who are always be India.
Makes sense.
So you have to define at that point in time that who are you catering to.
True.
You, on Instagram, it's same analogy. On Instagram, there is everyone.
Yeah.
You create your cohorts by going, and this is where the performance marketing comes.
True.
That you always figure out your audience and say who you want to deal with.
True. Very
Right?
true.
A luxury is always going to be targeted towards a luxury consumer.
Right.
And suddenly the entire performance will shift towards the Bharat separately.
Right.
So,
Exactly.
and same thing is happening with the content creation also.
Very
If you
true.
look at all the content that is being created, it's not that UP Bihar is not consuming something that is being released in Bombay. There's a UP Bihar in Bombay, is what
True.
I always say.
True.
Right.
No,
So
but-
that's
In fact, very interestingly, after Zee, your amazing stint at Zee, then you went, from such a large organization to a company which was in their, younger part of the journey, right? UTV. And over the years, you grew into a senior vice president and then beyond the UTV corporate function as well into Unilazer and others. And I'll get to that as well. But what got you to move from Zee to UTV at that point in time?
so. Between Zee and UTV, I had a couple of adventures.
Okay.
So, I quit Zee to start an asset reconstruction company, which happened in 2003 May.
Okay.
And hindsight, it was a stupid move from my side because I didn't gauge the market well at that time. We were working with some of the eminent people in the country and trying to figure out if we can create a right business model around asset reconstruction. And SURFACE Act had just come in.
Okay.
And that's now the NCLT thing that's coming out. It's a very, very refined form of the Bankruptcy Act in some manner. And at that point in time, people were just cleaning up books. And that's why asset reconstruction companies, and I have no qualms in saying that on record right now, right? That it was not done in the true sense.
Okay.
I've been exposed to some of the loan documents at that time, which didn't even have the borrower's signature. And they were 100+ crore loans, right? And when I got more into the system, I realized that it cannot be reconstructed. It can just be transferred from one person to the other who's able to take the risk, and no one else but the banks were there to
Take that risk.
borrow and take the risk themselves by just transferring it from one balance sheet to the other.
Got it.
That was exactly what was happening at that time. And what we started getting were recovery cases. And I don't think, looking at me, anyone would have ever given me any money back. Right? For that, you need different kind of people. And I realized it very soon, and I said that's not working out for me. And I was really running low on my finances in a big way at that time because of our background, I was constantly repaying some past loans. which were not even known to me earlier.
Okay.
So all that happened, and then I had to take up a job immediately, which happened with Salora International with Mr. Sushil Jivrajka. And that was, I think, a very interesting turning point in my life when I met with a gentleman who was very selfless.
Okay.
Right. And there was something that I could have a first time ever have a conversation without him being biased that, hey, Amit is working with me, and if I give him such advice, he might leave. Right. But he was very candid in his approach. I can say a bit of fatherly figure thought process as well. His son used to be working with me in some form or the other in a couple of other ventures that we were planning to do. Family got very close to me as well, right? And I mean, that's a different story altogether. But more and more I was working with him, I was realizing, one, my potential and how I'm not doing justice to my own potential and skills. The way I was working with Zee and then ARC and then now this. And then I was also candid in talking to him about what I really want to do, right? And one fine day I realized after a few months that, hey, this is not going well. So it was May of 2003 when I quit Zee to, I think, October, November of 2004.
Okay.
Right. And that's when I was just chatting with someone and one opportunity came in, which was UTV. Media to media was a little easier conversation for me because I know the depth in which media would operate.
Right.
The only thing I didn't know about the depth in which I could operate in UTV. Coming from Zee, I mean, we had always looked at UTV as a content provider.
Okay.
Because that is what, I mean, there was a period where we had massive number of shows coming in from UTV. So Ronnie was a celebrated figure. Right. No doubt about it. Everyone in the world knew him because we've all lived on Mathemagic show. Right. So everyone knew Ronnie. I mean, because of my media background, I knew Ronnie a little bit more, and then the entire Jing Bang over there. So I interviewed, got through. My first assignment was IPO. Right. And that changed the whole thought process again, because again, I got back into mainstream. And then one thing led to the other. I was heading corporate finance. I had a good team. We did that IPO was at that time, Sensex was 5,000. Sensex was 5,000, which is now 82,000. And I still believe in Sensex. So NSE doesn't come into my radar too much, though I trade on NSE. So that happened. And at that 5,000, when the markets were really bad in 2004-5, we got it subscribed by 25 times.
Oh, wow.
So that was one turning point in March 17, 2005, which was the IPO. And I think we raised some money, very negligible amount of money. But one very interesting decision that we took was sale of Hungama TV, which was so close to Ronnie, Zarina, everyone else. And I realized that that sale really turned the fortunes of what we wanted to build.
Wow.
And in my head, when I look back, right, I think my grounding of Zee, of understanding the consumer and the way things move in that, because UTV ultimately from a perception perspective was a B2B company.
Right.
So from moving from B2B to B2C was supposed to be a journey.
Right.
Ronnie was very, very passionate about movies. And I could see that, with every movie decision, though we were not real producer, we were not looked at as a producer in the market, right? Because we were largely doing, our last movie at that time was Swades. We had done a couple of other distribution of the movies, whether it was Lagan, whether it was Chalte Chalte and all of that with Charu. But the moment we got some money, we sold Hungama TV, we got Disney on board. Right. And that Disney and Hungama conversation is also another story altogether. Right. And when all this happened, we suddenly had some money for a company which was largely in debt most of the time, and it was listed. And there was very negligible dilution that happened at that time. And suddenly we had 220 crores in the bank. And then that probably we used that to rewrite the whole story.
Wow.
Right? Within 2.5 years, 3 years time, we were the largest studio in the country.
Wow.
From nothing. Literally.
That's amazing. That's
right?
huge.
Whether it was Rang De Vasanti to Jodha Akbar to XYZ.
Right.
And UTV became the name,
Yeah.
which probably I had seen people spending 20, 30 years to build that particular name. And hats off to Ronnie, the way he took calls and the way he drove it to a certain level of maturity. The kind of teams that we hired,
Right.
experimented with people, experimented with businesses, used some part of that money to do in 2000. The moment we got this money in 2006, we immediately pushed the plan to list a movie company, because by that time we already had a slate of around 15, 17 movies in under development. We listed movie company in London Stock Exchange, raised a lot of money from there. Then we invested some part of money in gaming businesses, because that was another big thing that was going on in the world.
Right.
That how do you go closer to the consumer with another content piece? Gaming was one part of it. We acquired India Games. We acquired another company in London, and another MMO company in US, in True Games. And with all these three acquisitions, we were the largest gaming company in the country, and we were making games for virtually all platforms available in the world.
Brilliant.
Right. And I used to head that business as well. So that's why outside of corporate finance, I used to look at exhibition, I used to look at gaming, I used to look at digital. So there's a lot that happened, but ultimately it was all about how to create value in the company. And in spite of whatever happened, our stock price never went down the listed price.
Right.
And it was never badgered just because we have taken this decision or that decision. We were constantly growing from almost 70 to 80 crore, 90 crore company. In 6 years, we were around 1100 crores company.
Wow.
In terms of revenue. A lot of investment happened, a lot of stuff happened, a lot of interesting stuff really were thrown at the market, experimented, went back onto the drawing board, and then figured out what more to be done. And we raised money, we invested, we just created, there was some movement at that time, right? And I realized that 6-7 years of being in UTV, 2004, November, December to 2011, 10-11, not a single day was not even eventful. Every day was so much fun, so much learning across the board. UTV became an ecosystem.
Yeah.
You can't avoid it, right? If you are in media, in a short period of time, you just can't avoid that particular ecosystem. And Ronnie led it so beautifully.
Wow.
Right. So I think that was, with him being so closely involved in everything that was going on, and also driving certain things in a manner they actually came out, right? From listing to complete cycle of delisting. Right. We were completely delisted when I quit, right? Because that was the last assignment effectively.
Right.
So listing was the first assignment, the delisting was the last one. Right. So that was a full cycle.
Yeah.
And value creation to an extent that we listed at 230 crore market cap. And we exited at 6,400 crores enterprise value. So if you look at that entire journey, I think these are the journeys to be always cherished, remembered, right? There were a lot of ups and downs.
I was about to ask you that.
Yeah, lots of ups and downs. And it's natural. There's nothing which is without a speed breaker.
Right.
Right. And if we believe in that my life is like, there are people who had no speed breakers, but they were lucky.
Okay.
Right. I was lucky that I had speed breakers.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Because I think every speed breaker taught you something. And that probably I will not make the same mistake again. And I believe in experimentation, and none of these things are cast in stone that something will work and things are there which will not work. Right. But do you really stop living because of that, or probably take that step again? I would still take that step again. Probably I do it, that particular thing, little differently.
Right. Wow.
Right. So I think that's by and large been the journey. And I'm like, the way I cherish my moments at Zee, equally or more probably
And
at UTV. I mean, unbelievable.
folks who are listening to this right now, this is a masterclass by Amit, right? This is so fantastic. So, I mean, I'm so inspired right now listening to some of these points that you've just shared. It's so amazing, and how humble and so much humility you're talking about the fact that you've seen the whole listing, delisting, the 3 major acquisitions making you the largest gaming company in the country, and so on and so forth. And I think that diversified into Swades Foundation and so many other things as well. This is fantastic. There's so much of impact that's been created there. Thank you so much, Amit, for sharing this, because this is so beautiful. I mean, I love the perspectives that you just shared. Can you share some anecdotes or differences in culture, what you saw in the Zee and Essel Group versus what you saw in UTV and then Disney as well?
Well, very different organizations culturally. Some things obviously are difficult to explain, right, or put it on a record in some manner. But all I would like to say is that with SE, the decision making was like extremely, extremely bold, right? He has actually gone ahead and made commitments, and which have worked so well for the organization. Some obviously don't, right? But he's never feared an experiment in any manner.
Got it.
And that vision really is where Zee could actually take those steps, which otherwise a lot of people were just thinking, and he implemented it.
Right.
I think that really helped me understand how decision making really happens. That also has inspired me to think about those decisions very differently. And at that point in time, I used to think, oh, why it's happening and how he could take that kind of a decision like this.
Right.
But later I realized the kind of calculations he would be doing at that time.
Right.
Because that's what you do. I mean,
Right.
I'm known to take certain fast decisions as well, not of that nature. But there is always a different kind of mental math that you do.
Right.
Right? Your ability to, and that math is not about just the numbers. Your ability to execute that vision
Right.
is also a mental math.
Makes sense.
Right? The kind of people that you're surrounded with, whether out of those 10 people, who are those 2 people that you'll pick to execute that experiment? Right? Whether it was lottery, whether it was DTH, whether it was this. And he used to pick and say, hey, go and execute. Right? And that picking was never biased in certain way.
Right.
And I think I could see that the inclination towards making a business very differently. Right?
Makes sense.
Cut to in UTV, Ronnie was very prone to experiments and ideas. Right? What worked is that his mental math capability and his learning is far, far more superior than anyone else.
Wow.
He learns like this. Right? I mean, I have never seen someone learning so fast. Right? And the number of different diverse businesses that he has been exposed to, that he can have a conversation with you on everything.
Right.
Right? And that helps you think differently and then match up with that pace is the biggest challenge.
Right.
Right? Over there, you don't get time to think too much. In Zee, you don't get time to think too much. But with UTV, I got time to think, also do something better than what we had discussed earlier, and there is an opportunity for you to think. There is an opportunity for you to collaborate and contribute and question if there is a decision happening in certain way, and alter the path, right, with proper collaboration and discussion with Ron.
Makes sense.
Right? And I felt, I was not so close at that point in time with SC, but I felt that probably that was missing in that particular culture. Right? However, these are 2 distinct thought processes, right? But I think both coexists. right? There's no one success mantra.
Right.
Some things work for someone, some things work, some other thing may work for someone else, right?
Right.
It's the way you deal with that situation at that point in time,
Makes sense.
right? So I think culturally that's how the organization get developed, right? Again, asking the right question in a particular room also comes very interestingly from my stint with Ronnie, because there was a room to ask the right question.
Right.
There was a room to collaborate. There was a room to figure out if we are not doing well, go back, figure out what is the better way to do it, and then make those alterations in some manner.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right. So I think these are the two major cultural differences. In some cases, I would say that, yes, I am very sure that this happened. In some cases, I'm saying that, yes, I was part of this, and that's why I'm saying that this can happen.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right.
All right. Thank you
So
so
I
much.
think that's how organizations also get built.
Right.
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 That's how you end up hiring people.
Right.
Right. You hire people who have not just ability to execute, but also add value
Right.
to whatever you're doing, and they are doing better
Right.
than you. Because that's how I'm going to hire someone who's better than me in something.
Makes sense.
Right. Otherwise, what's the point?
True.
Right.
That cultural alignment.
Otherwise everyone will be similar to me, and then I'm not learning anything every day.
Makes sense. Makes
Right.
sense.
So I
Makes a lot of
always,
sense.
even now, I tell people to hire people who are better than you in something.
True.
It could be as simple as that person is better in making decks. Right. It could be anything.
Right.
Right. There's something in someone every time that you end up looking up to.
Makes a lot of sense.
And that person, if that person is not there at that time, you miss that.
That's fantastic. advice,
Otherwise, everyone is redundant on day one, right?
True. Very true. No, that's a fantastic piece of advice for entrepreneurs, and I'll come back to you for some more advice for entrepreneurs as well. But that's so good to understand how calculated risks are taken and how those approaches really change the way companies are created, grown, and then performing as well, right? So thank you so much, Amit, for that perspective. Amit, but then your stint with UTV in some senses came to an end, but it continued into venture capital. What I realized much later when I was doing my research is that you were also the managing director for Unilazer.
Yeah.
Right, and then you went on to still continue to invest via Equanimity, Gruhas Collective Consumer Fund as well, and a bunch of other channels too, right? What was that transition like? Because even in UTV, yes, finance was at the core of it, strategy was at the core of it, evaluation of various businesses came naturally to you, and then was there a natural migration from there to venture capital and investments?
From day one, finance was never the core.
Got it.
Right. And I never let it make my core as well. But because designations work in a certain way,
Right.
so that finance tag always remained. But out and out, every time, it was all business.
Right. Makes
Right?
sense.
From the time that I really started breathing in this particular world. But at the same time, if you really see the transition, it was not a very difficult transition for
Yeah.
me, because I was looking at every investment opportunities as if I'm running the business.
Right. You've done M&As as well. You've acquired
I've done.
companies.
So I've done over a period of, until UTV itself, I was exposed to at least 10 M&As, multiple listings.
Right.
Running those companies, it's not like I was just hands off completely.
Exactly.
I was running those M&As as well in
Right.
some manner. I was exposed to the domestic and international ways of operating.
Right.
I had dealt with teams not just in India, but in Japan, in US, in UK,
Yeah.
and I had teams all over. We were running 4 studios at that one time
Right.
across these geographies. So exposure to the way domestic and international markets work, from a team's perspective to the consumer perspective to the way Indian market storytelling works versus the way Japan would work, because our game in Japan was built very differently as compared to the game which was developed in UK.
Right.
So those nuances were very naturally ingrained in that entire ecosystem. So
Right.
all those things really brought up very different business element in me, right? And that was used because I always thought like an operator,
Right. Exactly. I was coming to that.
right? I always thought that, hey, if I was doing this particular business, what would I have done differently
Makes sense.
to create value?
Right.
I don't think about the second round that it's to be done in this particular business.
Makes sense.
I'm not a big believer of the second round and the third round and the fourth round and series A, B, C, D, E.
Right.
I'm a believer of that even if I'm not able to raise the second round, can I save this company from mortality? Where everyone in the VC space thinks that, okay, out of 10, 2 may work. I feel that every company should have a right life cycle, should be given enough rope to deal with it, because not every company will become $1 billion company, but it can still survive and create value at 200 crore. Otherwise, that's why the micro cap to small caps to mid caps and large caps are there, right?
True.
Not everyone can become an HDFC bank.
Exactly.
Right? But there is a bank at 10,000 crore as well. There's a bank at 20,000 and there are banks at 5 lakh crores as well.
Makes sense.
So I think there is a room for everything. So can I just build those companies or probably work with those entrepreneurs to build that? It's like 0 to 10 journey. It's different than 10 to 100 journey.
Right.
Fortunately for me, I have been part of those journeys from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 50 or 100. Right. And there is a different question to be asked in every room.
Makes sense.
Right. You can't ask the same question that you're asking a startup and you're evaluating probably a micro cap or a mid cap. And that's why in Unilazer, we had a full-fledged strategy, though we operated, though technically we were a family office,
Right.
but we were operating exactly like a fund.
Got it.
That's the kind of teams that we got together. And then it also happened with my inclination towards running businesses to investments, and Ronnie and we had chatted on that a lot. Right. And when I was looking at what after UTV, and this is what exactly it came about, we got together and said, let's do this. Right. And that's how Unilazer Ventures really happened. Investment to me is nothing but the way I would invest in the stock market.
Makes a lot of sense.
Nothing different. So
Very
when I
interesting.
invested into micro cap companies in Unilazer, I used to take exactly the same approach that I take with running a startup. Is the business making value? It's making money. It has potential. It has a good headroom.
Right.
Right. At what stage it will reach a glass ceiling, and at what stage I should be exiting it.
Got it.
Right. And that, I mean, if you put these 4 or 5 key parameters and your ability to understand where operationally this particular business can go wrong, I think if you have gone into those aspects, by and large, you're there. Right. And what if I change these 2 people from the team and push another skill set? If that's going to change the dynamics of the way they are operating right now,
Makes sense.
does it work? Right. So this is how I think.
Right. This is
Right?
again
And there
first
is the
principle and second order.
And exactly, the first principles, right?
Yeah.
This is the only way I can think,
Makes sense.
right? I can't think anything differently. And that's my problem, and I accept it, right?
No, that's
No,
so
because
good.
I have got that feedback as well, that you have a very fixated mind. I said, yes, I have, probably because that is what I believe in, right? If I'm investing into a company and there are a lot of these things that we keep doing, not everything goes in the direction that you want to be,
Right.
but you still can't challenge first principles,
Yeah.
right? And I can't live on the second fundraise. I have to make whatever I have to make and create value with the fundraise or the money that you have in bank today,
Makes sense.
right? If in case this money is not working for you and not going in the right direction and your decisions are constantly being challenged by the environment, then you'll have to alter now,
Right.
not waste time for the next fundraise for that alteration to happen.
So moving then to a transition to a very, very large agency, which is into talent management, it's into pop culture, media, and so on and so forth, right? It's called the Collective Artists Network. What was that transition like? Did that change anything?
So, was not a transition really. I have been, so after Unilazer, I started my own consulting. And then during that period, I also started with my own startup called WeNaturalists as part of a larger community-based creating ecosystems around outside-driven communities and outdoor-driven communities. So at that point in time, while I was doing that, obviously, when WeNaturalists started, it was a very, very long supposed to be a long journey.
Right.
While I was also doing consulting, and then at that point in time, I got introduced to Collective, and since I knew this particular industry well, I've known the founders and the people who've been around for last so many years. And then one thing led to the other during the consulting, and then I was brought on board to one, restructure the company in the way it is today, creating certain moats with developing businesses, figuring out what next. It's from a strategy perspective for the company, and also contribute to some of the growth businesses that we were looking at from a overall growth standpoint.
Makes sense.
While I was continuing to run WeNaturalists, right? So this is by and large the story about coming to Collective Artists Network, which really, one, there is a constant learning because you're dealing with very different set of people. You're building brands. You're working with some of the entrepreneurs, which again comes naturally to me as well. And then I also, it helps me to figure out what's out there in the market and be updated. In the most critical aspect of that is that you're creating something new every day. And that's what I love generally.
Amazing.
Right? So one, it's making you feel that there's always an opportunity which is staring at you, and then there are areas that you have to work upon on yourself, right? It just brings all the conviction with which you had worked on some of the past businesses, bringing it into fruition over here.
Right.
And what are those do's and don'ts that we were talking about comes really into play in this environment. And considering the fact that we work with some of the largest talent in the country today, the perspective over here and your responsibility to make certain things work is far more higher. So
True.
your sword hanging on the head is a little different as compared to your own entrepreneurial journey.
True.
Right? Because over here, you are also working and collaborating with different sets of people with different mindsets. Right? So that journey is little different, but yes, the first principles don't change.
Makes sense.
And it has also culminated into my journey to launch a fund, which is Gruhas Collective Consumer Fund,
Right.
one of its kind. And again, same first principles, because all of us come from the operating background. And the way it happened really also brought out a way of running businesses in some form, because we were any which ways at Collective working with so many brands.
Right.
So working with a brand and taking them to the next level came naturally to us, being the largest new media tech company. So from all that perspective, it just worked out seamlessly in the avatar that I was running at WeNaturalists at that time, because WeNaturalists was also, it's completely bootstrapped.
Right.
And it always helped me at that point in time to continue running in a manner that I was running at that time.
No, I've kept WeNaturalists for the last because I'm very excited about getting into that as well. Now, like I said, right, I wanted to talk to you about WeNaturalists. You started this in 2019 with a very clear mission, that your vision rather, to bring together the whole community of naturalists, of nature lovers, of different form factors together on a platform to give them opportunities to work together, right? What inspired you to get this? I know you mentioned about your childhood where you're very close to nature. Was that the reason? What really got you there and say that, you know, let's build this out?
I think whatever you do today, it has to be some part of you in past, right? If that's the kind of passion that's coming out, right? In our days, we were not exposed to a lot of travel, right? Holidays used to be either at your nanny's place or some other relative's place in some form. So at that point in time, you are always exposed to where you live and what you watch.
Right.
But that was not a major grounding. Obviously, my affinity towards water, generally mountains and greenery, was natural. I always loved it, right? Monsoons were my favorite seasons because suddenly everything used to turn green.
Right.
But it really caught up with me when I took bird photography a little bit more, because that made me interact with the jungles a little bit more. And more I started capturing birds
Right.
I started feeling what is actually destroying this entire ecosystem that we live in, right? There was never a thought that, oh, I have to save nature,
Got it.
right? Because I feel, and with whatever learning and whatever studies I used to or read about things, you can't reverse the change that we've already started to get into, right? Your temperature control to everything else, it's all in our mind. I don't think we can save nature. Nature doesn't need your input. Nature will figure out its own course. Whatever you're trying to do is for your own selfish reason to save yourself, right? Because this environment, I can't take this temperature anymore.
Right.
And that's why I think about changing something at the climate level,
Right.
Otherwise, air conditions, we are all fine, right? Our air conditions will be far more superior. That's it, right? You can't reverse the temperature change. So from that standpoint, I feel that there's one part of climate action that's going on. People are fretting of climate change, but there's a climate action is a clear, actionable thought process. So I don't believe in just talking about it. I think we'll all have to do our bit to make certain things happen in that direction. The other thing was that when I interacted more and more with the community, while my trips, during my trips to the jungle, I realized that no one's talking the same language, right? Everyone was trying to protect their turf or trying to be very, dissociated with the world at large, right? Because they felt jungle is, or that particular thing is their ecosystem. And then it's like a typical civilian versus forces environment. That forces believe that the ecosystem and civilians don't exist,
Right.
per se, or vice versa. Not vice versa, actually. But but it's the similar environment there in jungles, in people who work more on conservation,
Right.
right? People who work on anything. It could be an owl conservation to a vulture conservation, or a jungle conservation in some manner. So air, water, soil, flora, fauna. These are the 5 elements that I generally think about as part of the ecosystem. And anyone who's working on that part of the ecosystem is he's a naturalist.
Right.
Anyone who loves nature is a naturalist. Correct. Anyone who's working for these 5 elements, or they are associated with it as a community, as an individual, as an organization, are part of it. And I realized that where do they really exist? Right? So first and the foremost thing was, how do I bring them together so that resources can be optimized? A lot of money is going on. Where is this going? Like, there were a lot of, we would have answered 500 questions before we started Naturalists. And it was also a quick, a decision making at our end, because I was constantly talking to people on ground and trying to understand exactly what kind of lives they are living.
Makes sense.
What do they do once they are not fit enough to be in jungles and being a naturalist? Because it requires a different level of fitness. You wake up at 3 a.m. in the morning, get ready for your stuff at 6 a.m. or whatever, 5 a.m.
Right.
And then again, your journey starts and it becomes very late by the time you're done with the guests. That was naturalist. And then foresters, and then people in the forestry department generally.
Right.
People who are more in the conservation space. There are very few people who understand their language.
True.
Money is not very easily available. So how do you really live? You're never at the corporate salary level. So all these questions were constantly running in your mind. So when I started looking at and talking to more and more people, I realized the problems are the same.
Right.
Everyone is dealing with them differently, right? So bringing them, all these people together, was the first and the foremost thing. And then I realized that what can bring them together? Is it the community platform? Answer is yes, very clearly. And I created that analogy in my mind that before LinkedIn, all of us were on Facebook,
Right.
and putting our professional background also on Facebook, that here is where I work. And when LinkedIn came in, all the professionals who never wanted a social avatar of theirs
Right.
out in the market, they moved on LinkedIn
Right.
to the professional avatar, right? Each and every creative person was on LinkedIn,
Right.
right? Also showcasing their work in whichever form they could, based on the restrictions or the limitations of that particular platform. When Behance came, all the creative team moved to Behance.
Makes
because
sense.
that was platform built for them.
Right.
Same analogy, I started WeNaturalists as a platform.
Hmm.
Let's move these people who don't find the other platforms created for them as a sense of belonging,
Right.
and let them come over here to figure out what really tools can make a difference in their lives.
True.
Right. And there are a lot of people and organizations who are running very low on tech
Right.
because they can't afford to invest in tech. So some of those problems, if I can share with them and make them shift to this particular tool so that they can actually not see it as a social media,
Right.
but they see as a day-to-day operational tool as well.
Right.
So I merged these 2-3 things together, and we as a team realized that that's a much better way to build a community.
Right.
Because a community, I don't want a social media platform.
Right.
A community is an ecosystem which is built for a give and take.
Right.
Right? Everyone is like-minded. Everyone understands each other's pain. Everyone complements to what you are planning to do next in life. If there is a project, how I can pull these 5 people from different walks of life, create a project,
Right.
and then run with that particular project. Hey, lovely, amazing. This is what the impact that we have created, and then off.
Right.
3 years later, if I want to create a similar project for another level of funding that I've received, I can bring the same set of people by clicking a piece of button. And then again, I have the same community working with me for a different thing. Can this kind of a collaboration and documentation and empowerment of sorts or enablement can happen on any other platform? Answer is absolutely not. So with that as a thought process, how to make them earn on the platform, how to make them collaborate on the platform, how to create project level and organization level tools, how to ensure that they can, whatever content that they create can earn something for them rather than distributing it for free. Even if someone is paying 10 cents, no problem.
Right.
But are you still earning?
Right.
Because for you to earn 10 cents on YouTube by putting a video over there, you'll take, I don't know, either years or you'll never do it because
Right.
it requires certain volumes for the trickles to come to you.
True.
And in this particular community and space, that volume doesn't come.
Right.
Right. So from that standpoint, I realized that there is a lot of these things need to be done to empower this community so that whatever trickle and resources that they are exposed to, that can be utilized better.
Right.
Today, I also felt that lot of money is spent on administrative costs. Lot of people working, but they technically have work of 2-3 hours in a day. Why they have 2-3 hours? Because there's a lot of operational administrative work which was typically being done by a 5,000 rupee kind of an expense, which I can provide as a tool. Then I can actually tell them that, hey, you are built for a much larger role.
Right.
Rather than wasting your time in these smaller administrative
jobs,
jobs, and then all the project money that flows into that system gets distributed unevenly towards administrative costs and not on the ground activities.
Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
So these are few things which were which I was observing on a regular basis, and it also came with strongly while I was running Swades Foundation.
I was
With Ronnie.
thinking, my dear.
And one thing that I take pride in changing is a very corporate thought process of running Swades. So I was coming from a very different background, from a pure corporate culture. And when I went onto the ground and I realized the amount of money being spent with no ROI, no accountability, no transparency.
Right.
And I said, wait, this is not going to work. Then we started creating, if a farmer is being funded for this particular season, how am I getting that money back from him? Not from a for-profit perspective, but for ensuring that he's accountable for the money that I'm giving him.
True.
He's also earning some money. We used to have livelihood interventions. Make him if I'm paying 50,000 to him for a season, he has to earn 1.5, and then we used to work with him how he can earn 1.5.
Makes sense.
Keep 50,000 for his own requirements, 50,000 as saving for the next season, and 50,000 back to me.
Right.
So that I can help someone else with that 50.
Makes sense.
Right? This was the thought process that brought in, because that accountability is critical. I don't want to just pray and then say that at some point in time, because that guy used to come back in the next season and ask me for more money. I said, why? How does it work? And considering the fact that we were working on holistic living solutions, So livelihood to water, to healthcare, to education, right? And to organize the entire ecosystem in a way that there is a community build-up happening over there. We used to do a lot of shramdan to ensure that our costs are this thing. So the entire community used to come together, but they were not accountable for the actions that they were being done at that time. Right? Toilets were not being used, which we used to make with the government, help of the government, but they were used as storeroom. Why? Because there was no water. Logical reasons. So what do you address first, water or the toilet? So I think most of these things also brought a lot of grounded, realities and had thrown at me that it's not just empowering them with a particular thing.
Right.
You have to also tell them what to do to reach that level where you can make the maximum utilization of that stuff.
Makes a lot of sense.
Right. So that's how the WeNaturalists as a thought process started. It culminated into I'm proud of this, that people came back with use cases. Can they run board meetings here? Right. I have an organization which actually runs their entire documentation, board discussions and everything else in a very closed environment. Privacy setting is completely driven by themselves.
Nice.
No one can see what they're doing inside. Right. Completely encrypted.
Got it.
Right. 48 chapters around the world, they are using this in some form or the other.
Brilliant.
Right. UNICEF uses it in some form. We've got the tech approved by the UNICEF American
fantastic.
offices and stuff like that. We had almost like 6 months of additional work that was required to ensure that they are able to use it. Then it got approved, and then one of the community started working on it. So a lot of these things have also been our learnings that how does this environment work. But to be honest with you, I'm extremely unhappy about the ability of these people to comprehend the change that it can bring to the lives. Because they have been taught to not think, unfortunately.
Makes sense.
That's how the world works. It's not only India, it's not only Africa, it's about the world works like that.
No, but that's
it's about
exposure.
consumption.
Exposure to these
Learning.
policies,
So now I'm
learning.
coming to that part. So the biggest challenge that we are facing right now is not climate action. It's about awareness.
Right.
Climate action, you can't reverse, as I said in the beginning. Right? What you can do right now is just make people aware. The way you know in history and civics that you used to read earlier,
Exactly.
right? There were rights and duties
True.
as a citizen.
Right.
You have to know about your rights and duties or do's and don'ts with respect to environment, with respect to sustainability from childhood.
True.
That's how WeNaturalists is built. So we
Amazing.
work a lot on sustainability solutions, awareness and learning solution, not education.
Right.
Awareness and learning, making green champions, green entrepreneurship, green childhood,
Right.
right? Some of these programs which has potential to change the way you live today, right? Rather than fretting about it, what you are doing. What I am doing is more important,
Makes sense.
right? And what my household is doing is very important. What my parents are doing, what my kids are doing is more important. So it starts from us. Reducing consumption is your first step,
Makes sense.
right? How do you ensure that you get into a 0 kilometer or as close by kilometer consumption,
Right.
right? Whether you are still eating a kiwi or an avocado which is not grown around you,
Yeah.
as compared to eating what is locally grown, you're immediately reducing carbon footprint.
True.
Whether
It's a
you can-
gate to gate thing. People forget that.
Yeah, it is. Whether you can survive on locally produced stuff, yes, that's how the world really was earlier.
True.
Right?
True.
I didn't know ever in my life that we were exposed to those things which were coming from, which were completely an import kind of a material. Packaged foods, right? Again, the same story. So
Sure.
I think these are small things that could clearly redefine the way you are actually living, and that has a straightaway implication on the carbon footprint also.
True.
So it is not about the car that you're using or you start using EV. Both have its own pitfalls. But at the same time, are you doing enough to capture that particular carbon footprint within your own households?
True.
Whether it is recycling, whether it is use of water,
Right.
whether it is use of food that you are consuming, right? Dal chawal economy will always give you more sustainability as compared to eating packaged food. I mean, there's no brainer. That's straight. I mean, as simple as that.
But people do not understand that them taking shortcuts for convenience or for something to do with the palates, right? They are screwing up with the whole ecosystem. That exposure.
Absolutely. That is what we are doing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's so important. In 2016, for the first time, when I was interviewing for Target, the question that I was asked in my interview was about food security. And I was literally taken aback because I was like, what? Like, what do you understand about food security? And I said, I am not aware about what exactly are you asking about.
Yeah.
Because I'd heard about, cyber security, but I had never heard of food security. And I was an educated guy who had lived outside of India as well for multiple years, studied from one of the top B schools in the country, and I had no idea about what food security even meant. And cut to, couple of years in Target, I realized the partnership with MIT in US, in Boston, or with L'Oreal and other things. And I was a biotechnologist, by the way.
Wow.
Right. And I still did not know about food security at the top of my mind. Of course, I knew the underlying concepts and then I understood what the terminology meant. But I did not know this. And I was like, if I did not know this, being a biotechnologist who represented India at national level, I mean, I participated in multiple national level awards, won 4 of them for my research, right? And I still did not know this. So that means there's humongous lack of exposure, awareness in the folks out there. And that is where we naturalists become so important, so critical in that shaping of the journey, where people become exposed to this and they become much more conscious about this change that they have to bring it at an individual level as well.
That's right.
Thanks so much, Amit, for that perspective as well. One last question, right, before I want to jump on another small segment of rapid fire, very, very new to our conversation style, right? But jokes apart, I think there's a lot of change that we are starting to see with WeNaturalists, right? A couple of quick questions around that. One, is CSR also a good avenue or stream for money to be dispersed into the ecosystem that you're building? Because I think India is probably the first country to have 2% mandated, and I think corporates need to be aware of where they're spending. They should look at WeNaturalists as a place for them to push that money in, so that impact can be created at scale.
CSR is an important part of Indian ecosystem, where government has mandated a percentage of the profits to be spent for social needs and social work. But at the same time, there is a lack of probably intent or understanding of where to spend when it comes to climate action and who to really back. The other thing is, from a WeNaturalist standpoint, you can directly or indirectly participate in what WeNaturalist is doing to figure out how your spend should make maximum impact on ground. Right. Because we promote transparency and accountability using our tools, right? So automatically the people or the NGOs or the partners who are there, who are best at implementing on ground activities in some manner, they can be monitored in a certain way. And that's why we also promote a particular campaign which always says that adopt an NGO, right? So few people or an organization can come together and adopt an NGO. And what does it mean? That it also allows you to pay for their digital transformation. Digital transformation will bring in more accountability and transparency. More and more you see in a normal world also, wherever you feel that, hey, my money is being used in the right way, that's why the charity starts.
Right.
Otherwise, you'll put your risk capital that on a signal or otherwise, you'll just pay 10 rupees, 15 rupees, because you will not be able to track that.
True.
But the moment I ask you 1 lakh rupees, would you just give it like that? You won't. Because you don't know what that money is going to be used for. You will not even give 1,000 rupees.
Right, exactly.
Right? Why would you not give? Because you don't know where is that money going to be used for.
Right.
If I give you the whole trail, that's why a lot of platforms have started. Right? Who give you the whole trail of the impact that is being created. But that's in a particular genre or certain cohort.
Right.
But when it comes to climate action, there's no one place which can give you that particular access and working with that particular partner for lifelong.
Right.
And adopt them in some manner. Actually contribute to the build-up of that entire community in some manner, because they are not that well paid. And I've been talking about this in multiple forums now, that the corporate world and the NGO and social world and the climate action world are two distinct environments.
True.
Right? Someone who's in the corporate world cannot see a career for himself or herself in that particular zone, and vice versa. One is lack of skill, the other is lack of intent and lack of enough remuneration or career opportunity in that particular sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I think it's about people, it's about adoption of stuff, it's about bringing CSR and contributing in the right manner at the platform level. I think all these things really play an important role when it comes to CSR money being distributed in this ecosystem.
No, makes a lot of sense.
WeNaturalists.
Got it. You spoke about money trail or money provenance. Now coming to carbon provenance, I think my sense is that people are getting more conscious about the carbon footprint, and there could be a time in the near future or maybe mid-future where we say that every person is going to be socially rated by their carbon footprint
Very soon.
right? So if that is one potential future that we can foresee, what are other possible things that you can see as future trends that will start creating an impact on sustainability, on nature, and how will we naturals play a part in that?
I think wherever this particular community will exist and belong, right, that will always face that particular trend faster, correct? Because this is where the action would be, right? So and that's what I firmly believe in that. The second part is it's very difficult to predict a trend in this particular space because there's no one cohesive forum that talks about this at the national or a global level. There are UN bodies that they do, right? But they form, whether it is the SDG goal or the Paris Agreement to everything else, or the COP conference that keeps on happening every year, right? That is driven by an agenda, right? But that is not still bringing the world together, to ensure that everyone starts thinking on those aspects of sustainability in one go,
Makes sense.
And I feel every country will have to take that step individually because anything to do with climate action is a global impact, but at the same time it also has a massively deep-rooted impact in your own locality or in your own geography in some manner. So if, like for example, in India, if government says to create a better awareness of ground level realities and community service or climate action engagement, if government mandates that everyone who is getting into a job has to first 6 months, along with the job or outside, needs to work with an NGO in this particular space, right? The way there are a lot of countries where armed forces service or any other military service is important. Similarly, if that can be done, right, automatically a lot of things will go into the sustainable.
Makes a lot of sense.
process.
So again, policy level changes are
Policy
required.
level changes are imminent. I don't think we can do anything without that. Because land laws are state levels, land laws. Your protection of natural resources is at the central level mostly, right? But usage is again at the state level. There are national parks and there are wildlife sanctuaries and there are other protected lands. There are mangroves. If all these things have to come under one umbrella, like national highways, right? Because it's a national treasure. Because one forest impacts that geography and that geography has an implication to the water levels and everything else that affects another state. So it cannot be the state subject, it has to be a national level work.
Makes a lot of sense.
So some of these policy level changes will have to come from the top, and it has to go beyond the political will in some manner.
Got it. Makes a lot of sense, and thank you so much, Amit, for sharing that perspective. Just one last thing. I have so many more questions, but one last thing on this is, can you tell the audience who are listening to us right now, listening to you specifically, how easy or difficult it is for them to join the community? Because I know a lot of people out there who want to be a part of the community. How do they go ahead? How do they join? How do they collaborate?
So it's as simple as joining any other forum today. Right? You'll have to just be there, see who all you can work and collaborate with.
Right.
Right. Figure out your very, very basic requirements of being in nature in some manner.
Right.
We run a lot of programs ourselves. There are a lot of our partner companies which runs a lot of programs. Just be in nature and just make a choice on a daily basis or a weekly basis that you'll spend an hour in one or the other trail or a track or a trek or something to do with knowing nature better.
Right.
Right. And you know, as simple as making a holiday choice rather than going into a city or a or any other concrete jungle, just figure out a real jungle for your holiday.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So for people who are listening to us right now, Amit has very, put it out in a very, very interesting way. If you just want to connect with nature, it doesn't really matter the amount of degree at which you're already connecting with nature. But if you are interested in connecting with nature, go to WeNaturalists, because I think that is what you've said, right? It's a varied degree of people who can be associated, right? So,
and just one thing that I like to add is that, and this is something that I've, it's everyone knows, but we don't think on those lines, that whatever you love, you start protecting.
Right.
Right. And that's why you call Mother Nature.
True.
It's all correlated. So you start loving nature, you'll start protecting and thinking about it.
Makes a lot of sense.
That when you go out and you see, there's a plastic lying in a jungle, and there's a heap of some dirt and garbage, and over there are a lot of birds and small animals getting collected, and you realize, oh shit, I mean, is this what they've been consuming or doing anything? And suddenly you feel, we should not be doing it.
Exactly.
Or this plastic should not be there, or there is something that can change this entire thought process. And while we are bringing the communities together and say, hey guys, please don't do this.
True.
Then suddenly you'll realize, and when you come back home, you'll have implement something or the other in your community in some form.
Makes a lot of sense.
So I think these are small things which I've seen making major changes in kids' life. Children have been the biggest proponent of that.
Right.
Right. And I think there's a massive change that can be brought in if you take care of that learning and awareness at that age. And that's why WeNaturalists is approved both at the Google and Apple level at 3+ age group.
Oh, fantastic.
So we've ensured that every child has a experience and can really figure out their nature journeys with this particular app and what we do over here.
Brilliant. No, that's fantastic. No, I think that's a great information. I think living in tier 1 cities, we sometimes overlook a lot of these aspects, and I think it's very important to get this imbibed in our children from a very young age. That's how you'd probably be able to bring that change. So thank you so much for sharing that, Amit. One last segment of some fun questions. I wanted to ask you these questions out of my own intrigue, and wanted to understand and get some quick answers on these, right? First one, Amit, if you are not into finance, business, or media, what else would you be doing?
I'll be just shooting birds with my camera.
I thought so. I was thinking that
sitting in a jungle and have some interesting, story to be written at some point in time, and then just shooting birds every now and then.
Awesome.
It's really, really inspiring.
Yeah. Which of these are more difficult tasks that you've executed in the past, right? The whole listing and delisting of UTV, or setting your first food outlet?
I think both were very different journeys with different set of people, and both got me to learn so much and implement those learnings in future. So I think both are distinct. But from an excitement perspective, I'll still rate the UTV journey far more interesting.
Okay.
And full of so much of learning, and then impact to the lives that we could do at that one time, and the number of lives together was a different journey altogether.
Fantastic. Any piece of advice that you hold very close to your heart that has been given to you by a mentor from the past? Could be Ronnie, could be Subhash Chandra, or someone else that you'd like to share?
I don't remember who gave me this advice, but don't think too much.
Okay. All right. Cool. As an investor, you've invested in a lot of different kind of companies, very diverse as well. Is there any startup that got away that you thought in hindsight that this was the one that I did want to do it, but you missed out on that?
Since I don't regret any of these startups, I don't think, no, nothing comes to my mind right now, honestly.
Okay.
Or probably I'm caught unaware. No, but
No.
I know that probably in a couple of cases I would have probably done differently,
Mm-hmm.
but nothing comes to my mind where I feel any regret of losing out.
Okay, that's cool. What's your best way to unwind after probably a long week?
Going as close to the nature as possible.
So treks,
Right, or
trails.
probably just spending time with the family. Nothing more than that, I think. Or planning a holiday.
Nice.
Planning a
Last-
holiday may not be ending up with one,
Yeah.
but at least planning. I love planning.
Awesome.
I
Last
love
one.
driving also, so I drive a lot.
Oh, is it?
So
Okay.
just planning a driving trip itself or a road trip itself
brings
is
some
so
joy.
much of just planning. It's so much of joy.
Okay. So what brings Amit Banka a lot of happiness? Is it the boardroom or is it the jungle?
Both.
Both.
Yeah, a good boardroom with good, intriguing and exciting conversations, where there's an impact being created after an hour or 2 hours of conversation, or even 15 minutes of conversation. If we believe that at the end of the day we have created some impact, it's very, very satisfying, right? But jungle, absolutely yes. Jungle or anything to do with nature.
Awesome. But thank you so much, Amit, for such candid perspective, so much of gyan, so much of wisdom, the pearls of wisdom, like they call it that way for a reason now. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
Thank you so much.
I have a gift that we're going to give it to you. We coded it to you. It's by Cupik Design. They are into personalized stationery and gifting options for corporates. So I'm going to share that with you. I'll courier it over to your office or to your home.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming here and sharing this with us.
Thank you so much for having me here. It was a great conversation, and first time probably it was diverse conversation. Otherwise, most of the conversations I've had in silos where either I'm talking about one aspect or the second. But I think this was all encompassing. So thank you for bringing it out in a
And
manner.
as well.
We will do it. Thank you so much, Abhay.
Thank you.
Feel free to share your perspectives through comments, subscribe to the channel, and do send us some suggestions as well. Thank you.